Hey guys, welcome back to I'm Just a Fan. It's your host Ben, and today we're going to be talking about the 2025 Philadelphia Phillies upcoming season, expectations, what do I think is going to happen with this team, and just overall my thoughts heading into this new season. Before we get into this video, if you could give this video a like, any comments down below as well would be muchly appreciated. And even if you end up liking this video, if you would like to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It goes a long way for the channel. We're seeing a lot of growth right now, so if you want to be a part of it, I'd really appreciate that. All right, before we even get into the Philadelphia Phillies 2025 season, we have to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies 2024 season. And man, what a season it was. It was really a season of highs and lows. The season started off so well. The team was looking fantastic. I think they had the most wins through May or June. Again, they were just, I think at one point they were on a pace to maybe break like the all-time wins. Obviously that didn't happen, but they just had such a good first half, specifically really heading up to right about middle of June. I would say that team was just fantastic. They played great ball. You had obviously a standout bullpen. You had a great rotation as well, and the offense was delivering. I mean, it was just pretty much everything that you wanted out of this Phillies team, and it was great to see. But of course, that changed. A lot changed. Ranger Suarez got hurt. It started to shorten the bullpen. It started to shorten the starting lineup a little bit. So that hurt the team just because once he went down, the team had to start relying on Taijuan Walker a little bit more, and he was already a scheduled loss. So just having another glare with the starting pitchers already was just, it really started to kind of topple onto the team. Also, in typical Phillies fashion of this era of Philadelphia Phillies baseball, the bats kind of started to get cold. A few guys started to get banged up as well. I know Trea had some injuries. Bryce got injured for a little bit. A couple guys really, but it just, the bats were not fantastic for a little bit, and it was just really bad defense even as well. The bullpen took a slight step back. And I mean, you look at the deadline, you can literally go on my channel. I made a video about calling out Dave Dombrowski. Not necessarily full on calling out, but I just was like, is this what we want to do at the deadline? I liked the Estevez move. He ended up being okay, but obviously not great in the playoffs, but who was, and we'll get to that. But Austin Hayes was the team's big move. And again, looking back, like, what a just awful move by this team. And it's really nothing about Austin Hayes in itself. It's just the fact that this team just needed maybe one more guy in the outfield that could really be a dominant, not necessarily a dominant bat, but a good enough bat, and could be good defensively. And it just, he just never was that guy. He never was that guy. You ended up trading Soto and Dominguez as well. It was okay, decent move for him, but it just didn't work. And really, those things started to become glaring issues in the playoffs because this team needed a hitter. This team needed a hitter bad, a guy that could just hit for contact, a solid 280. He's going to get on base. He might not necessarily swing for the fences, but they just needed a guy that could get a hit. And man, that team just got exposed by the Mets. It was actually embarrassing. The Phillies got their first bye in this era. So far, they've always been playing in the wild card, and I think they really thrived from that. But man, it didn't work out this year. It just didn't. You have two playoff games in Citizens Bank Park. The first one, you have a phenomenal outing from Wheeler, but you don't give him any run support. All you do is get a Kyle Schwarber home run, and that's really all I can remember from that game. There might have been a run or two in the ninth inning, but it didn't matter. Once you go to the bullpen, the Mets absolutely obliterated this bullpen in Game 1. Game 2 was one of the best baseball games I've ever seen. That was fantastic. I thought there was a slight chance they could come back just because of the fight from the team. But you went to Citi Field, and again, the bats just kept getting exposed, swinging at everything on the plate. This team is too damn aggressive. And how many times have we seen this in big moments? In the Houston series in 22, the bats get cold. I mean, you literally get no hit at the bank. You get no hit at the bank. Bats get cold. Even Game 5, they got pretty cold, in my opinion. Even Game 6. But you think back to 2023, some key moments in that Arizona series, specifically 6 and 7 back at home. The bats get cold. All they can do is swing for the fences. They can't get any contact hitting. They can't draw any walks. And it was just amplified in 24. The Mets starting pitching absolutely dominated the Phillies lineup. It was just every single guy was getting cooked. I remember there was this one at bat. I think it was game 3. Yeah, I think it was game 3. Even Bryce Harper, he had, I think, a couple guys on base, and he's just swinging at nothing. And it's just like, what is the approach? Because every single guy is doing this right now, and I just didn't get it. And of course, the bullpen just blew up in the playoffs. I mean, the moment obviously that sticks to me is the Lindor grand slam. I mean, my God. And I really thought at times Thompson was a little too loose with his leash. He let Aaron Nola stay in for, I think, game 3, a little bit too long. And again, I think he got a home run off him at some point. Or it just, I feel like Rob could have been a little bit better with his pen usage and just taking starters out when they started to show that they were leaking. And again, I mean, you're benching Alec Bowman game 3 or game 4, whatever it was. Like, Bryson Stott is platooning. Like, it was just not a great end to the year. So I just needed to get that out of my chest one last time before we head into 2025, where we can actually preview this team. Sorry if that was a little long, but that really is a bunch of things that need to be stated before we get into this team. So your key free agent losses really for this team was mostly with the bullpen. Spencer Turnbull, even though he was technically a starter, he could also come out of the pen. You lose him. I thought he was a solid player last year. He struggled with injuries, but when he played, he was very good. You lose Carlos Estevez, who you traded for at the deadline. And you lose Jeff Hoffman, which sucked because Jeff Hoffman was a really good pitcher. And obviously he was commanding a lot of money. He did take somewhat of a step back in the second end of the season, but he was an all-star pitcher at the same time. And I just, would have liked to see the Phillies maybe keep him because I'm not really in love with this pen at this point, not going to lie. Now, when you look at this team's offseason moves when it comes to acquiring talent, I don't hate all of it, but again, it was overall a pretty quiet year, or at least offseason for this team. You get Max Kepler, an outfielder, 1 year. Joe Ross, again, another just relief pitcher, 1 year. You do get Jordan Romano from the Blue Jays, again, another 1 year deal. I heard he's all right. Not going to pretend like I know a ton about him, but you at least get one more guy for the bullpen. And then the biggest move by far was acquiring, I'm going to mess this up. It's not Jesus. It's Jesus, maybe Jesus Luzardo. Yeah. You get him from the Marlins, and he is a very good starter. I've seen him play, obviously, numerous times against the Phillies, and I've watched him pitch. He's a great pitcher. So I did like getting him. I really didn't think they had to give up too much for him. So I don't hate the offseason. I just feel like there was, again, specifically when it comes to the lineup, there was that move that you're just like, could we have maybe gotten just a little bit better at one of these bats? They were trying to trade Alec Boehm, nothing happened. They were trying to trade Nick Castellanos, nothing happened. So we just kind of have to see how this whole thing plays out. But yeah, I would have not hated maybe getting another decent bat. I know they were in talks with Bregman, but again, you didn't trade Boehm, so nothing really transpired. It is what it is. But yeah, I would say it was an okay offseason. I think Luzardo has great talent, but other than that, nothing really moves me a ton. So now let's get into the lineup, and usually I would do this just through the lineup 1 through 9 or 9 through 1, whatever you want to do. But from what I know, the lineups haven't fully been set yet, so I'm just going to go player by player. You have catchers, you have JT. It sucks to say it at this point, but JT is taking a slight step back. His hitting was nowhere near as good, and he was getting banged up a little bit last year. And he's been getting reps in, I think, left field, so I just don't know what to expect from JT. I think he's a great veteran presence to still have on the team. You have him for one more year, but he's getting up there. I'm just going to enjoy the ride with him, to be honest, but I would not say he's that elite catcher that you had 2 to 3 years ago. He's still a good player, but he's not an elite catcher anymore for me. You also have Marchand as well. He's a solid backup catcher. I'd like to see a little bit more from him, and I'm sure we'll get some of those. But yeah, the catchers, it's okay. It doesn't move me, I would say. At first base, you, of course, have Bryce Harper, expecting him to have another great year. There's no real reason for me to be down on this guy at all. The heart and soul of the team. Again, just need him to come up a little bit bigger in the playoffs. Not saying he hasn't in the past. Obviously, we all know he has. But at the same time, he let me down last year. So I would just like to see him at least come up in those big moments a little bit more when we get to the postseason. But again, we'll get there. And that's no way of me talking any smack on Bryce Harper. I literally love Bryce Harper. I just need to be honest and be like, look, this guy did not really do much in the playoffs. He's still a fantastic player. I literally love this guy so much. I just wanted to say that because it sounded a little bit like I was hating on him. It's not what I was going for. At second base, we have Bryson Stott, and this is a weird one. I was really big on Stott, specifically in that 2022 year, but he kind of took a step back last year, in my opinion. He was apparently playing with a right elbow injury, and he was platooning a little bit, like he wasn't able to hit certain pitching, so it's just like, I need him to get a little bit better. Even defensively at times, I feel like he was, he made some mistakes. He was still a great player, but it's just offensively he needs to be better. You cannot be a platoon guy or a guy we start every other day if you want to be at second base with this team. It's just not going to work in my opinion. Shortstop Trea Turner, again, it's just a very weird year for him. He played fantastic in before the All-Star break. He had a .941 OPS. He was doing very good, but post All-Star break only had a .687 OPS. Also was not great hitting wise in the playoffs. Still chases those pitches and is not good defensively. They're saying he might be the new leadoff hitter. I don't hate it. I'm all for any change at this point with this team because what they've been doing hasn't worked. But I like Trea Turner. I still like him. It's just this is not the Trea Turner I was sold on, and I need to see that consistency moving forward. Alec Boehm had a fantastic, and he's playing third base. Alec Boehm had a fantastic, again, start of the year, but just really cooled down after that All-Star break. He got cold, like super cold, like mentally to the point where, again, he got benched in a playoff game because of how bad he was playing. His attitude was just awful. But apparently there are reports saying coming out of camp that he's been a lot more mentally strong. We'll see. I don't know. I think Alec Boehm's still a good player. I just want to see how he bounces back, especially after all the trade stuff and people were kind of shitting on him for the attitude. I just want to see how he bounces back. You get to the outfield. This is where things get a little interesting again. You have Nick Castellanos, in my opinion, the most consistent player offensively last year. He was just so damn good. I was really torn if they wanted to actually trade him or not because he really is just a good player. He's just a good player. I think Nick is what he gives you. I think if he can give you what he gave you last year, I'm fine with him. Max Kepler, I'm not going to pretend to know a ton about this guy. I'm just not. Brandon Marsh, again, man, this guy's just got to be better hitting. It actually is really frustrating watching him hit. It actually pisses me off at times because it's just so automatic of an out, and it's just disgusting because, again, I've seen him hit better in the past, and it's just not there right now. Obviously, a great athletic player in the field, but man, this guy pisses me off sometimes when I watch him hit. So yeah, he's got to be better. And then Johan Rojas, again, he's got to be better hitting as well. Some people were like, dude, this guy's the future. I think he's a solid player. He's quick as hell, great defensively. But again, the kid can't hit. The kid just can't hit. So we got to see how much of an opportunity he's going to get this year. But I still think at times the outfield could just be a little bit better. It's just lacking that bat. It's lacking one more bat back there. And of course, at DH, you have Kyle Schwarber. This guy is fantastic. Always does what he does best. I mean, he's not going to be hitting from the leadoff spot anymore, which is going to be weird, but I'm kind of curious to see how this goes. Don't really have much bad to say about Schwarber. He's just a dependable guy, a great veteran. Overall, I really like what he brings. So, yeah, we'll see. And then, of course, you get to the utility. You have Cody Clemens, a guy that is I wouldn't say a great hitter, but he's a solid hitter. He can get some big hits for you when you need it. And you got Sosa, who is just, again, a guy that when he's hot, he can hit. But, man, he just plays some really, really good defensive ball. Not someone I want to rely on for a bat. He was really good in, like, May last year. But very athletic and a guy I really would love always as a utility player. Now let's get to the starters. Zack Wheeler, again, this guy is the best pitcher I've ever seen the Phillies have, I would say, in my lifetime. I didn't watch Doc. I know of I know the team from 2008 in that era, but I didn't watch a ton of them. Obviously, Hamels is that guy, but Zack Wheeler is, I would say, my modern day version of that, that elite pitcher that your team has. And I just love watching him pitch. He's just fantastic. I never take him for granted. I feel like the Phillies never give him run support, but he's just a beast. You got Jesus Luzardo, again, very solid pitcher. I want to see how he does. Overall, very good player though, and I'm just not really sure why Miami got rid of him. But again, it's the Marlins. We don't ask questions. It's just what they do. So I'm glad he's a Philadelphia Philly. Aaron Nola. I thought Aaron Nola had a solid year last year. I wouldn't say an elite year, but at times, of course, in the biggest moments, it's just a damn home run, man. He can literally mow you down for 5 to 6 innings, and then bam, it's a 2 or 3 run shot, and it's just like, well, everything he did just went to shit because of that one meatball he threw. But overall, I think Nola. I mean, if you have Nola as your 2 or 3, you're in a very great position. And I still love Aaron Nola. I'm just being completely honest for what he is as a pitcher in my eyes. Then you have Christopher Sanchez, a guy that played some fantastic ball last year for the Phillies. Really loved what he brought to the team last year. Was an all-star, a guy that was just a dependable guy. I mean, he was one of the reasons why this team was so good in the beginning of the season because he played such elite ball. He really is that good of a pitcher when he's hot. And again, he just really helps this rotation. Like if this rotation's healthy and they're playing the ball they need to be playing, it's going to be dominant like it was last year. So I'm very excited to see that. And then this is kind of a 1A, 1B. We'll see. So Ranger Suarez just actually got put on the 15-day IL. So due to sore lower back. So we will have to see how this goes. But probably they're saying he can maybe rejoin the rotation by the end of April. And again, no need to rush Suarez. I thought Ranger was so good last year, but once he took a step back and then he had that injury, he just never was the same guy. But man, did he show up in, I think it was game 5 of that Mets game. He pitched his ass off. He kept the Phillies in the game. And I just love Ranger for how much of a dog he is. And again, he's not the best pitcher ever, but he's just a guy that's really always going to battle out there. And I just love his swag. He's a great pitcher for what he does. Now, of course, the opposite is the worst pitcher I've ever seen in my life, Taijuan Walker. This guy sucks. It sucks he's even on the team. I understand why he is because they pay him so much money and Ranger is hurt. I get it. But man, this guy is terrible. If this guy's pitching, don't watch the game if you're a Phillies fan. It's just not going to be an enjoyable experience. He's giving up minimum 3 to 5 runs by the 4th inning. If you want to make a little bit of cash, a nice little tip here, bet the opposing team's total team over when Taijuan Walker is pitching. I guarantee that shit cashes almost every game. I did it last summer. Anytime you see Taijuan Walker pitching, just bet on the other team to score a decent amount of runs because this guy just sucks. He sucks so bad. I just hate that it brings every 5 days when the Phillies play, you just know it's going to be a loss. And I just hate that mind. I hate that mindset. I hate that culture that brings. I just really hope he can get off this team at some point because, God, he just sucks. He really just sucks. Not much has changed with the bullpen. I mean, you lost a couple guys, but this is just kind of what it's looking like right now. Jose Alvarado, Tanner Banks, Carlos Hernandez, Orion Kirkring, Jordan Romano, Joe Ross, Jose Ruiz, and Matt Strahm. Again, a couple guys that are pretty good, but I do feel like this position got a little bit weaker because, again, you lost Hoffman, you lost Estevez. I mean, Strahm is a great player, but he took a step back last year going into the playoffs, so I don't know. And Alvarado at this point is just a guy that it's so hard for me to trust him because he's still got the speed, but he does not have the control that he had in 21 and 22. So it's just kind of hard to really be in love with this bullpen. But that's what we got right now for the team. So my expectations for this team are about what they were for last year and the last couple of years. Minimum, this team needs to get in the playoffs. Yes, winning the division is cool, but I don't really care about it as much as I do in other sports. We've seen numerous times, and including last year with the Phillies, that getting a guaranteed bye is not always a good thing. You kind of lose a little bit of that mojo. You aren't hitting for a couple of days. I'm not saying it's an excuse. It's just the truth. Look at how many teams have actually advanced coming off the 1 seed. So I don't think it's, again, the worst, but if the Phillies if they don't win the division, it's like, I don't know. I'm going to be indifferent to it. But yeah, it's just going to be tough. I want them to get in the playoffs, and I don't know who's going to win that division. I would say I'm probably thinking Phillies or Atlanta, strictly just from a pitching standpoint. I think the Mets obviously got the firepower. I cannot trust that pitching, but we'll see. But I don't know. I'm not going to make predictions yet for the Phillies, but minimum, it's get in the playoffs. And then when we get to the playoffs, this is the important part. I need to see First off, I need to see quality hitting. I cannot do this swing at every pitch bullshit. Just take your pitches, get walks, hit through the gaps if you can, get singles and doubles. It's not all about swinging for the fucking fences. Just do what you got to do. Take the walks. Don't be so damn aggressive that you literally hit yourself out of a game before it even starts. You give your pitchers no room for error if you're going to play baseball like that. And it's just such an ugly brand of baseball. I hate this hot and cold shit. I just want a team that's disciplined when it comes to hitting. And again, I know the Dodgers are cracked. That's what they are. That's what they've been for years. But watching them hit, it was night and fucking day compared to the Phillies last year in the playoffs. It was just completely different. And that's why I want my team to hit like. I want a team that's, again, giving me consistent hitting on the offensive side for baseball. Because, again, you even go back to these great years. These last couple of years have been fantastic. But 22, again, like I said, bats get cold in the World Series. 23, they get cold against Arizona. 24, they get just cold against the Mets. You don't even get a playoff run. Like, the pitching can only be so good for so long. Guys are going to get hits. But if your guys just go ice cold in the biggest moments, the entire fucking season doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. So I just need to see consistency from the bats in the playoffs. I think the pitchers will stand up. Obviously, though, we're going to need to see a little bit more from the bullpen because, my God, that entire unit shit the bed last year in the playoffs. So I need to just see a lot more. And when it comes to the deadline, Dave Dombrowski, depending on how this team's doing, you need to be aggressive. Don't sit on your hands. I'm not saying make a move that's going to kill you as a franchise. But, man, Austin Hayes, like, that shit just rubbed me the wrong way. So, I know it sounds like I'm a little down on the Phillies. It's more just they're kind of entering, like, Sixers territory for me. They're still a great team. I still love watching them. But I just need to see it actually be done. Like, okay, we can get good. We can be good, and let's make a run, and I'll appreciate this. But if you're not winning the World Series, what's the fucking point of this? So I need to I just need to see it this year. I need to see it. I'm kind of going in with lower expectations. Just make the playoffs, and we know how baseball is as a sport. Once you get in the playoffs, pretty much everything's off the wall. So we'll see how this is. But that's all I got for you guys today. A little bit of a longer video, but if you made it to this point of the video, comment your predictions for the season down below. I'd really appreciate that. So yeah, thank you for making it to this point, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.